from Joe Brady's introductory press conference. We're going to talk to the Bills head coach coming up here right now. Jeremy and Joe, and joining us on the Western Hotline, another Joe, Bills head coach Joe Brady. Joe, thanks for joining us. It's Jeremy and Joe. We do this a lot. There's a lot of Joes on the show. You're the latest. We're happy. We're thrilled to have you. Thanks for joining us.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on this morning.
I've been told that you are committed to shorts quite a bit, regardless of temperature. And the first question we ask is, are you a shorts everyday guy?
Every day, I'm not only a shorts everyday guy. I wear the same combination of. I have a bunch of the exact same shirt and shorts, right? So throw on the black shirt, throw on black shorts, and keep it moving every day. Don't spend a lot of time.
It's like a Superman closet. You open up the closet and everything looks the same.
It's something like that. I probably have I have too many clothes than I probably need, but just wash, rinse, repeat.
Have you thought about that on the sidelines? We were looking earlier. I don't know that I've ever seen a head coach wear shorts. You could become the first.
You have to ask.
Yeah, no, it hasn't crossed my mind, but no, I'll keep with tradition from that standpoint. I don't need to stir up anything from there.
So if you're wearing the same,
a little cold here.
Yeah, right.
True.
If you're wearing the same thing every day, when you had the interviews and you have to go to a suit, did you have? For me, Joe, I'm like, all right, I got to put one on. I hope this thing fits. It's been a little while since I wore it. Did you have one at the ready, or did you get one just specifically for the interviews?
Oh no, it's tough, right? Because we haven't worn. You don't wear a lot of suits in season, right? So I had to do a lot of standing interviews. Get a little concerned with the fit. How they fit a little better in the summer. But and hopefully I'm not having to put on a suit for a while.
Yeah, relatable. It fits better in the summer. I get that. Yep. Bills head coach Joe Brady joining us on the Western Hotline. Joe, I wanted to ask you to take us inside some of the interview process, not just with the Bills, but like as you go through the interview process with these teams. How much is you telling them, answering their questions, and how much is you also selling your ideas, like what you want to do? You want this job, but you also want to know that they respect what you envision as how you'll execute it.
Yeah, I think that's what's unique is every one of them is different. Some of them just feel like they're in an interview process where it's just, here's an answer, you answer, and then they just go to here's a question, you answer, and they just move on to the next one. And other ones are way more of just conversation and being able to flow and kind of, okay, you said this, but now let's talk through that a little bit more. And so there's so many different avenues that they kind of go. But the biggest thing that you always want to get across is, hey, as the head football coach, this is my vision. This is the things that I value. This is the direction that I want to go, because you want to make sure, and then this is who I am, because you want to make sure, look, as you guys can tell, right, I'm not the best public speaker. I'm not a car salesman. Like I say what's on my mind. I'm gonna kind of roll from there. So I want them to understand, like, the guy that you're getting this is the guy that you're interviewing. This is me. And if it doesn't work for you guys, it doesn't work for you. But I thought that was always important to me, and so that's always the priority, as opposed to telling them what they want to hear.
Was it more comfortable doing that with the Bills because you knew the people? Maybe it was the other way because you wanted the job more, because you would have done interviews each of the last 2 years, including this year, with other teams.
Yeah, honestly, it was actually a little tougher, just because you do know the guy. I mean, look, the guy I've coached for 4 years is in that room, but and I know we've kind of talked about it, but like the reality of it is, I knew it was real when they wanted to start from the jump. Like some of the interviews, they go back to, all right, let's tell us you're back at Pembroke Pines, Florida, and walk us, start from there. And I was concerned, I didn't know going into it how they were going to handle it. If they were going to be like, hey, we know you, let's just get to this element. Well, it was important for them to view me as like not just the offense coordinator of the Bills, but view me as maybe an offense coordinator from another team, so that then they can then view me as the potential candidate as the head coach of the Bills. And so the way that they handled it, it was important for both of us to kind of go into it and say, hey, let's act as if we don't know, and look, Laura Pagula, Mr. Pagula, like there's people in there that I'm not dealing with and having a lot of conversations on a day-to-day basis, right, as the offensive coordinator. So that was important for me.
I wonder if you have a thought on why the league has become more of a young coaches league. Like, you're a young coach, and that's not even all that new. A number of the candidates were young. Sean McVay got a job really young. We kind of see it more and more. And, Joe, I feel like 10, 15, 20 years ago, you weren't going to be a head coach unless you were, 45 or 50 years old. Do you have any thought on maybe why the league has kind of moved in this direction, whether it's innovation, offensive innovation, whatever it might be? But it's very much a young coaches league these days.
Yeah, it's look, I go back to, I remember after my first year in Carolina, I had like 6 interviews, and I remember I'm looking back now and I'm like, was I ready to actually do that? Was to be able to, I'm in such a better headspace now. Well, I think the thing, it's not necessarily about youth. I think some of it is just the ability to adapt and find compatibility and be able to not. I think it gets overstated when people say, hey, relate to players. Like, that doesn't mean you're their best friends, but it's just understanding there's a different generation, just like the college environment with the NIL. Like, there's so many different things that come into play. But I do think it's hey, the trends of the leagues change. We got to make sure that we evolve. And I think sometimes some of the younger coaches, we don't know any better besides, hey, let's make sure that we're trying to stay ahead of the curve or trying to continue to grow, as opposed to, hey, this is just how we've done it for a long time.
Joe Brady with us. Joe, at the press conference, you said some things about Sean McDermott that I think were very appreciated by Bills fans. I feel like a lot of the questions you're getting are about what's going to be different, what's evolving. Is there something that comes to mind for you that you would say you learned under Sean McDermott that you take away from him on what makes a good head coach?
Yeah, look, you don't get to do what Coach McDermott did for as long as he did without being a great leader. You think about all the different things that have happened during his time and how, look, I said it in the press conference. I know I'm walking into this building every day, and it's in a way better position than it was when he walked into it. And the way that he was able to help put together the foundation and establish the culture and get it to where we're in the playoffs every year. Like, you don't do that by just rolling out of bed. Like, he's an incredible leader, and having an opportunity to, be in coordinator meetings, learn from him. Like, I've grown so much as a coach since I've been here in Buffalo, and Coach McDermott was a large part of that.
Joe Brady joining us. I hope you understand, like, questions we ask, we're not asking when Joe says, like, what's different. I feel like every time you answer a question, people might think of, like, oh, he's doing this different from Sean. And, of course, you're your own coach here. And one of the things I want to ask you about is game management stuff. I read in Jay Skursky's piece in the Buffalo News about 30 minutes and 15 game situations. They're trying to figure out if you're leaning analytical or leaning on the gut side of it, like when it comes to fourth downs and all that. And will you have the same staff in place? Will you have a game management staff? How do you envision that moving forward when it comes to the big decisions in the big moment? Because you're going to be a head coach, which means you're busy. You're calling plays, and a head coach that's calling plays is also busy. So how will that look going forward, do you think?
Yeah, well, look, I think you go back to the interview process, and I thought the intentionality that they had of, like, when you're doing the game management in the process. Like, it wasn't like, hey, let's start the interview and now let's do game management. They did it at the very end while you're sitting there talking and your brain's all like, whew, I'm just now let's go game management. Let's see how you are in a fourth quarter when, there's a lot going on and let's see how, and so I really enjoy their intentionality with it. And, but look, I think we do have a great staff here. I know it's a cliche answer, but like right now it's evaluating all of our systems. It's from, across the building. Look, I was in an offense, and it's no different, like, from an offensive perspective. We're evaluating to see, hey, what are some avenues that we feel like can benefit us moving forward? But the game management piece is critical. As we know, so many games come down to that, and I'm not going to be perfect. I understand that, but I want to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with people that I can lean on as well, but knowing that, hey, when the time comes, I have to be ready for a lot of these situations. I have to be able to handle it in a quick manner, and I do think calling the plays and always thinking situationally from a play caller should help that.
Do you feel like being that going for this upcoming fourth down, if there is one, that will rest with you? Does that mean you're also the one that has the play call on 3rd and 10, so you'll maybe know on 3rd down what you're going to do on 4th, and will that allow some sort of natural cohesiveness of your own call with the call, whether or not you're going to go for it?
Oh, absolutely. And the other elements to it is not only do I know if I'm going to be going for it, but I'm being around and game planning, understanding the defense that I'm going to. I also know what I'm getting. I think sometimes that's when you sit there and you watch games and it's like, hey, what should they do? Should they go for it? And, I don't know if there's ever been from an analytical standpoint when you watch on TV, like a situation where it thinks you shouldn't go for it, right? But it's, okay, hey, should we get in the situation, it's a fourth or two or less, you shouldn't just blindly say, oh, yeah, we're going for it. It's like, all right, in these situations, how's the game being played, where we're at, what is do I like kind of what I have in this menu, and then what are we getting defensively? I think a lot of times when you just go into it in the game, you have an idea of, hey, these are going to be our benchmarks. These are going to be areas on the field that we want to go for it. But it can't be just, hey, every single game it looks the exact same, because like I always say, there's a way to win the football game. And I think that's important that in the game management meetings leading up to the game, we communicate the different variables, because there's time and place where, man, points, look at the playoffs, man. And there's times in the playoffs where if you take the points and how important those are, especially early in the game. So there's so many factors at play. But as long as I surround myself with those type of people, that we have those discussions in the week, I think it'll make life a lot easier during games.
Yeah, that's fourth down too. That having the numbers on that, especially, sometimes they're unique. Like I don't know what you thought of the kneel versus go for the touchdown against Jacksonville conversation. We had a lot of that after that week, and like that might be a situation that never comes up again. So I feel like with the clock, maybe there's always not, numbers right off the bat on that, because it could be a situation that's never happened before.
Yeah, no, and one thing that we try to pride ourselves on is, like in the QB room, right, on Saturdays, we have, one of our coaches does an incredible job watching throughout the entire league. And so we try to put ourselves in the positions that we didn't actually get to be in. So it's like, okay, here we are. I'm the play caller. Now this year I get to put myself as the head football coach. And then here's the quarterback. Here's, hey, this is okay in this situation. Well, this happened last week in the Detroit Jets game. All right, what would we do here? Oh, I'd be getting to this play. All right, Josh, do you see the same way? Yep, see the same way. Cool. So if that comes up, this is what we're going to do. Ooh, I'd call a timeout here, and just working through a lot of those scenarios, because to your point, sometimes those things don't show up in your game, but a lot of them do show up across the NFL. And as long as you can put yourself in a lot of these real situations and at least talk through them, it'll allow you to kind of have a better feel of when those show up.
Sometimes, again, like Joe, we deal with like talking these numbers and understanding you guys have your own game day crew that's going to plan for these matchups. Then there's the zoom out on the season. Do you envision being as run heavy as you've been the last couple of years? It's been an identity. It's been something this team does very, very well. But like pass frequency over expected, this team has been more run heavy than the average team. And there are plenty of people to think like with Josh Allen, is that the best plan for the course of a full season? So the short version of the question is, do you envision being the same degree of run heavy?
Full transparency, it's a little too early to say that. This is part of what we do in the off season. Like our offense looked different this past year than it did the year before, and there's going to be new pieces on our offense. Our defense is going to be different. The thing that we always just concern ourselves is like, what's it going to take to win that football game? And I know that that's such a cliche answer, but there's some games where, man, if we're able to run the football and we don't have to, teams are allowing us to run it, right? They're always going to be fearful of Josh Allen, right? We get a lot of split safety defense. We don't get a lot of man coverage. We get a lot of situations and boxes that are conducive to running the football, because at the end of the day, no matter what, they're still always fearful of Josh Allen. And so I think it's so important for us to have a two-dimensional element. But we have shown that, hey, there's games where, you think to the Jacksonville game, you think of Tampa game, you think of coming back in Baltimore. We have to have an offense that's built to be able to win in different styles in different ways. Can we win if all we can do is throw it? Can we win if we're playing in the AFC Championship and the weather looks like it looked last week and it's going to be tough to throw the ball? Can we win being able to run it? And we have to have both offense and defense styles to be able to win that game. to give you an answer of like what is it going to look like. I'll have a better feel for that as we continue to evolve, as from a system, as we continue to kind of get new players in here. That will help tell you kind of direction that we're going to kind of go.
Sure. To that point, I saw in Tyler Dunn's piece, his conversation with Brandon Beane, one thing he mentioned was that you had expressed something about the vertical passing game in the course of the interview process. So as you're building this thing out, is that something you think this team will need to find more answers in?
Yeah, I think as anytime we've done. Look, we lead the NFL throwing the balls in between the numbers, right? And so and we do it at such a high efficiency rate, and then so it's like, hey, just like I come out of every season saying, all right, well, if there's things that we're not doing at a high rate or having a success rate of it, I have to do a better job of that. And so that's not me always saying it's just players, right? Like it's always going to start with myself. But I think it's also making sure our decision making with it. It's sometimes it's kind of like going for on a fourth down. It's like, hey, you want a deep pass. Like we had 2 deep passes against Denver. They got intercepted. That if those weren't intercepted and we had a different result to the play, we'd be saying, hey, good job, but we need to throw it deeper, right? So it's always a fine line. I think adding that element to our offense will help if we have the pieces that in Josh's based upon what the defense is giving. And that's the element of us being able to run the football, you hope will allow some of those vertical threats down the field to be able to open up. But if it's not there, Josh not saying, well, I have to throw the ball deep. It's, all right, cool, they want to stay deep with it. All right, cool, I'll throw it underneath, and we'll do what we do a good job of and getting a lot of rack.
One thing your offense has been able to do pretty well for Josh Allen this passing game is limit turnovers. 2 seasons ago, that was incredible. But this past season, we saw a big uptick in sacks, which, turnovers are negative plays, and sacks can be negative plays and drive killers as well. What is the best explanation for why Allen was under so much more pressure this year and the sack number spiked as much as it did?
Yeah, I think, there's not a there's a lot of different factors that go into it as we've watched, as we've kind of gone through and broke them all down. And like you said, I know it's not the answer. It's always going to start with me. Like all 40 of them are on me. Some of that is, hey, making sure that we're all on the same page protection wise. Some of that is, hey, Josh, there's going to be plays where, hey, it's not a great. Right now we're in not a great position. Hey, as opposed to running around, hey, throw the ball away. We're taking some. I think back to the Cleveland one, that he wants back. And so making sure that we're going through all of like, hey, not just grouping them as, hey, a sack is a sack, but like, how are the sacks happening? Are they happening on 3rd and long situations? What's our protections looking like? Is it one-on-one situations? Is it certain people? We've kind of looked at all of them, and trying to kind of put together a conclusion of exactly the whys. And there's a couple different things that we have to clean up. I don't mean this in a negative way. Some of the stuff I don't want to throw out there because that's some of the stuff that we have to be really intentional about going into the off season. Josh getting hit is always at the forefront of what how can I protect Josh? How can I keep him clean? And if the sacks are happening, it's because of me, and then we'll clean up some of the details and some of the technique so that it's not happening.
Joe, how do you see the value? Mike McDaniel had a comment about Justin Herbert recently where he referred to plays that all 3 quarterbacks can run as something that can help support him. And I thought about the screens that this offense has run in the run game too. Maybe that might be similar. How do you see that? Plays that, like the screen specifically, and how that can, in your mind, help Josh Allen, or any of those plays where really he's not being asked to do, superhero things?
Yeah, I think that's a critical element to our offense is call it breather plays. But there's a time and a place for all of them. Like if I'm calling a screen and it's there's sometimes where we have 2 plays in and it's a heavy pressure look and Josh spits a screen out and it's a 3rd and 9 situation. Well, doing it with the mindset that we're going to have 2 downs, right? I'm going for it on 4th down, right? And so there's a lot of different things that come with, hey, the why of with some of these. Sometimes it's, hey, you know what? I want to get Khalil Shakir or some of these guys a touch early, and just them getting the ball in their hands, good things usually happen. And if it doesn't, they feel like they got to catch. Making the defenses defend every blade of grass, like all of that is important. As you know, right? Screens, they are hit or miss, but what they do, helping all the other things. When a team is sitting there and saying, "Hey, do we want to get this all-up blitz look?" Oh, all right. Well, do we feel comfortable doing that if they've shown that they have the ability to do that? And sometimes we do it just to see what their blitz plan is. And knowing that I'm not trying to waste any plays. We're doing it because we think it can work. We have athletic offensive linemen that get the ball out. We have to continue to grow our screen game, getting under center, being able to get some play action screens, off of the run game. So we have to continue to grow that. But breather plays is important for Josh, and that's what the run game has helped do, where he's not having to sit back and drop back and throw the ball 40 times a game and having to be hero's the wrong word, but that's tough on Josh, and that's really tough on the offensive line.
Last one from me, Joe. The 3 playoff losses in the last 3 years, the offense has had chances to win the game in the fourth quarter and hasn't been able to close the deal or win the game. What do you believe that the offense's responsibility is in hitting the proverbial playoff wall, as the owner has put it? And how do you see that going forward? How much do you think about that going forward, is not just the season, but what to do at the ends of these playoff games if they are very tight?
I mean, look, it's what keeps me up. Like I didn't sleep like that. It's my job as the offensive coordinator, and my job as the head coach is making sure when we get in these opportunities, we are cashing in and we are taking advantage. I'm like, we want the ball in our hands with the game on the line, and we haven't gotten it done, right? And that is always going to start with me and making sure that I'm putting them in positions to have success, and that we're practicing these scenarios so that when these come up. Because it's what we want, and I believe that just like in Jacksonville, right? We had the ball go down, take advantage and get the score. We've shown that we have the ability to do it, but in these other moments, I got to make sure that I'm putting them in better position to have success, and that and when our best is required, we're at our best, and so making sure that in practices and I'm trying to, simulate as much of these, but the reality of it is we know that you can practice it so much. It's a different element once you get into those games, and giving them what they know and trusting that they're going to get it done. And but it's always going to start with being the most critical on myself in those moments.
Bills head coach Joe Brady, we didn't do anything on the defense. We're guilty of that sometimes. Quickly, if you could, take us through Jim Leonard, landing on Jim Leonard as the defensive coordinator, and what you expect him to bring to this team.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for. I mean, you guys obviously know of Jim, the player. You don't play 10 years. You don't play as long as he played as an undrafted guy without having some stuff to you, right? And man, when you talk to him, I've said this on multiple platforms I talk to. I felt like when as the head football coach, I'm going through it and I'm writing down the things that are important to me, the style that our defense is playing, the versatility that we're playing, the ability to change different structures. And I believe defenses are trying to break offenses' rules, and that versatility and some of these positionless players and moving guys around. I felt like when I wrote all those things down, it was almost like somebody gave him the piece of paper, and as I was interviewing him, he knew kind of, because man, I kept going through and I was like, man, he's saying what the vision that I have. And I've always had an appreciation for, even going back to his Wisconsin days, how he's run defenses. Then, obviously going against Denver right before, seeing how his DBs communicated and how they played. I wish they obviously didn't have some of the, the ball production that he did in that game. But man, he has such a clear vision, great communicator, great teacher, and he's exactly what we wanted and what we needed here. Does the kind of defense you get change the way you call an offensive game? Like you kind of alluded to that, game planning, that kind of thing. Like when you go into a week, how to beat a team. Does the caliber of your defense and the way that your defense plays change the way you game plan your offense? It changes the way that you call the game. You game plan with a mindset of understanding, hey, you game plan in a way of figuring out the ways to attack defenses, and then it's your job. And then my job as the head coach is putting it all together of figuring out what's the way to win this game. But they're not all separate entities, right? It's understanding, hey, let's think of how our defense is in this game. Do we have to control the ball more? What is this going to look like? And that's part of the communication element. But yeah, the game is it's. I wish I could tell you it's so just black and white of like, hey, all your job is to score points and nothing else matters. Yes, that's my job. That was, as the play caller, job is to score points. But there's so much more that comes with that, and understanding, hey, there's times where we need to keep people off the field. There's times that we need to control, and it's a field position game. There's times where it doesn't freaking matter. We just got to roll, and so it's part of that game management as you kind of go. But I said it in the press conference, like I want us to have the mentality and making sure that our mentality is where it needs to be, that no matter what we're doing, they got to play us.
Yeah.
Right. And so we'll figure that out. But that's the biggest thing that I want to make sure that the guys know moving forward, that it's not the other way around.
And last thing for me, we're so grateful to have so much time with you. So thank you here. Nick Saban has a quote a couple of years ago. He basically said, like, I might not like it. It's unbelievable how much the game has changed, but it's hard to coach defense. And he basically said, managing the game offensively is too hard. I'm just trying to score when I can. And understanding you can't always live there. Is that ideally where you want to be on offense? Is think like, my defense is good. I don't have to manage anything. I need to just go rip up and down the field and score as much as I can. Because, Nick Saban, Alabama had a long time of being dominant defensively. Then they kind of switched and became this offensive juggernaut, and it came with a mindset switch for Saban himself.
Yeah, I think the college game and the NFL game is a little different, just from my experience at LSU with, the amount of plays that you also get in, the amount of times the clock stopped. I know it's changed a little bit, but, the tempo and the amount of plays does impact things. The parity in the NFL, I think, takes, with the salary cap and which makes it really hard to construct some of the rosters. I think it makes it a little tough to just say, hey, it's black and white. But at the end of the day, when you're calling plays, you're trying to score touchdowns. And when you got Josh Allen, there's not a drive that we come off the field and we don't have points and we don't come away with a touchdown, then I'm not pissed off, right? And so, I think I hope that we get to the point where it doesn't matter. And I know that we have a dominant defense and they're getting the stops and we're rolling on offense. But as long as we got the same mindset, that's the most important thing to me.
Very good. Did you watch the Sabres-Panthers game?
I was just going to ask, Monday night, who are you rooting for?
Sabres-Panthers? What side were you on?
You guys, look, I'm all Buffalo. All Buffalo. You guys. So there's you guys.
Joe was here. He was willing to give you a pass. Like, you grew up a Panthers fan. That's allowed.
I don't know how many would be willing to give you a pass, though. But I said I think it's totally understandable if he stuck with his team. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. It's you guys. I remember when I got you guys at camp, right? You guys were like, look, man, I know how it is, but. Look, man, you guys know what the city of Buffalo kind of means to me, right? So if I can't dip my toe in it, right? So I'm all in and rolling with Lindy and keeping it moving. I've been able to go to one game and we lost, so probably not going to see me any more games, right? They're much better without me, but we'll keep our 1-0 for the Buffalo Bills right now.
Very good. Are the 1-0 tweets going to return?
Yep, it's now just maybe. Hopefully I get to download whatever it's Twitter X. I get to download it a lot more than I got to download it last year, and throw the 1-0 and then keep it moving.
Very good. Thanks for the time, Joe, and best of luck this season. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Joe Brady, Bills head coach Joe Brady on the Western Hotline. Thank you to Joe, and thank you to the Bills for so much time.